Breaking news now. Scotland's former First Minister Alex Salmond has told Sky News that he was contacted 10 days before an historic vote on equal marriage, asking if SNP leadership candidate Yousaf could skip the vote due to pressure from religious groups. Now, Mr Yousaf previously denied deliberately setting up a diary clash weeks in advance of the vote back in 2014. He said he supports gay marriage and voted for the legislation in the early stages. Speaking on tonight's Beth Rigby interviews, Mr Salmond claimed that Humza's memory may be different to mine.
I mean, my memory is that I was contacted 10 days or so before the vote, when the vote was known, and told that Humza was arranging a ministerial appointment. I've discussed it with people who were with me at the time, so I know their memory is the same as mine.
What was the reason that was given to skip the vote?
Well, I didn't discuss the thing at great length. It was the assumption there was pressure there's a lot of religions.
Pressure.
Well, a lot of religions were canvassing and opting. There's no secret that there was that, but it was a free vote and people could do it. Like I had ministers who were against equal marriage and who voted against equal marriage, and they continued as ministers.
Sorry, but you're saying that there was pressure. Mr Yousaf was under pressure, and that was communicated
lots of people
directly or through a third party. That was communicated
yes,
to you,
but lots
under
of people,
pressure from the Muslim community.
But no doubt other communities as well.
Did he miss the vote because of religious pressure and he didn't want to go to the vote, or was it a meeting?
No, look, you asked me what my memory was. Was I contacted to say that Humza had arranged a governmental meeting on the day of the vote, and that was sometime before the vote? The answer is yes, I remember that. And I remember saying that Alec Neil had to be informed. But there was no question of having to ask permission. And you say this is vital and important. See, I take a different view. I think people will judge their candidates on a range of issues, and whether they're judging Kate Forbes or Humza Yousaf, they'll judge them on a range of things. You know, we just saw an interview where Humza accepted there was pressure from various communities. But, you know, his memory, you know, may be different from mine. Let's put it that way.
Just to be clear, your recollection was that it was a conscience vote, but that vote was missed because of religious pressure, that it was a vote that Mr Yousaf perhaps wanted to avoid.
Well,
that's your recollection.
Well, that's my recollection.
OK.
That interview in full tonight at 9 o'clock. What does it mean for the leadership candidate Humza Yousaf? Let's find out. We'll speak to our Scotland correspondent Connor Gillies, who can put this in a bit of context for us, Connor.
Yeah, this is an explosive intervention by Scotland's former First Minister Alex Salmond, because, of course, Humza Yousaf is now standing to be First Minister of this country, is now standing to replace Nicola Sturgeon as leader of the SNP. Now, let's just remember that this was 9 years ago. This was a conscience vote around gay marriage, led in the government by Alex Salmond. And Humza Yousaf has been clear with Sky News during various interviews over the course of the last few weeks that he is pro-equality, he is pro-equal marriage, and he voted in the early stages for that bill back in 2014. But he has also admitted, under questioning by Sky News, that he was under pressure at that point in time by religious groups. Now, what we do know is that his diary at the time shows a meeting was set up weeks in advance of that final historic vote around equal marriage, and that was to discuss a Scot who was on death row at the time. Now, Alex Salmond has shed more light. Of course, let's just remember, he was head of the government at the time, and he has now told Sky News this afternoon, talking to Beth Rigby, that ministers at the time were told to inform Mr Salmond out of politeness. That was the phrase that Mr Salmond used, what they intended to do in that vote. And what the allegation here is that after Humza Yousaf voted for equal marriage in the initial stages of proceedings, he then came under religious pressure from groups across Scotland at that point and asked to skip that vote. Now, Alex Salmond has said that he directly was contacted 10 days before that final crucial vote to say that Humza had arranged a government meeting on that day, and his recollection, he says, was that that was because of religious pressure. Now, he also recognises that his memory may be different to Humza Yousaf's, but also over the course of the last week or so, we've heard another recollection from another government minister who was in the cabinet at that time, who backs up Alex Salmond's version of events this afternoon. This is all denied by Humza Yousaf himself, and it's something that I put to him in the last half an hour or so.
My recollection is very different to Alex Salmond's recollection. Alex Salmond is also, I think, by any objective measure, he has of course backed other candidates in this race. He has every right to do that. Minister for Parliamentary Business, who would have been in charge for slips for any minister, has made it very clear, Joe Fitzpatrick, that I was not one of those who raised concerns around the equal marriage bill. I've given you a full account, Conor, of the reasons why I had to miss that vote. If it had taken place, if I had been there, I would have voted for it. The vote took place today.
Is Alex Salmond not telling the truth here, then?
Well, as I said, my recollection is different to Alex.
Well, Alex Salmond hasn't backed anyone in this race.
He's made it pretty clear that he would not want to see me as a leader of the SNP. I think anybody can... I don't even think you need to read between the lines to see that.
The question is whether this will cause trouble for the Humza Yousaf camp in this leadership contest. Of course, Alex Salmond's opponents would say he is yesterday's man and his opinions don't really matter in this contest.
Thank you, Conor Gillies there. You're watching the Sarah Jane Mee Show. Coming up, how bird flu is